Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range. We are here at the 100th and unfortunately last Neueneggschiessen. Now this is one of these historic events that commemorates a particular battle in Swiss military history. So we'll, as usual, start with a bit of the historical background and then go on to discuss the shoot, and then we'll go shoot it and we'll see how we get on. Now basically during the Napoleonic period, Napoleon wanted to create sort of buffer states next to France. It's a bit rich because he was kind of the belligerent one, really, but it's a bit like the Soviet Union after the Second World War wanted the Eastern European states as their puppet buffer states against the West. Napoleon basically was that 150 years in advance. So in 1898, in early March, he decided to give the Swiss a good kicking. Set out a pincer movement from two directions, sent an army from the north to Grauholz, we'll mention that in a bit, and sent an army from the west through Lausanne and Fribourg, and ended up here in Neuenegg's. Well, actually Neuenegg's just right over here. We're just on the Fribourg side of the River Sense here, but this is part of where the events of the 5th of March 1898 happened, and the chap has been boning up on this very topic.
I have, yes. So the army that came through Fribourg was supposed to be a diversionary army. The one coming from the north was far larger, and their task was basically to march around this area to distract the Bernese from the bigger army coming down. And on the night of the 5th, they crossed the river here, Sense, is it called?
Sense.
They crossed the river Sense. They completely surprised the Bernese camp and routed it. And this is very important, that here we're talking about a very loosely unified Switzerland, far less cantons. So this was literally concerned the Bernese troops. So they all panicked, ran back to Bern. The Bern government then raised the Landsturm, so the civilian,
the old men,
the old men, wives,
anyone who could carry a gun.
Yep, they all ran, and the troops that they could muster from the rout. The French then actually didn't press their attack, since they were only supposed to be a diversion. So they retreated back and waited. So the Bernese then reassembled, reformed, and came to meet the French. And they came to a meeting up, well, we'll see in the video where the monuments are.
Up the hill.
Up the hill. They were outnumbered 2-1, the Bernese were. And they routed the French. There's two conflicting stories.
Depends if you read German Wikipedia or French Wikipedia,
or even the Swiss military review. I read a review from 1910. The Swiss legend is that a vigorous bayonet charge routed the French, and they retreated back to Fribourg. The review I read was that the French wing were ordered to rotate and flank the main Bernese regiments, but as they were doing so, further Swiss units that had been delayed going through the woods appeared and outflanked the flanking
double pincer
with the bayonets, and chaos ensued and the French retreated. And at the end of that, there was 135 Swiss soldiers that were sadly killed. And but unfortunately, I mean, it was a victory for them.
But unfortunately, it was pointless, because at Grauholz, further to the north, the Bernese were utterly routed. And just at the end of the battle here, just after it had been won, message came from Bern: forget it, we're done, sorry.
Yeah.
And apparently they were rather annoyed, because they'd literally just toasted at least twice the number of French.
And there's a bridge here that across the river where, during the retreat, the Bernese had placed cannon. All three cannon. And they were playing on the French as they retreated across the bridge.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is one of the fundamental battles of the forming of the modern Swiss society. And 68 years after the battle, they stuck a monument up on the hill where it happened, and a couple of hundred yards away from where the 135 Bernese were killed. Do we know how many French were killed and where they're buried?
No. How many? I think we can probably look it up how many were killed, but where they're buried. I don't think they really.
Well, it probably would have been the Bernese that buried them.
No, they came back.
Oh, they came
said
back?
they came back to clean up the battlefield, but I'm guessing it's probably a mass grave
Somewhere.
as it was done back then.
Yeah. So the origins of this shoot are in 1913. A group of patriotic Bernese from the area, or from the Studschutzenbund, decided that they were going to make a commemorative shoot to commemorate the 135 Bernese casualties and the victory. And they're just starting up again, so we'll probably just have to pause for a few minutes and jump cut.
What?
So anyway, after that little interruption by the noise of the actual event, the
The late one.
Studschutzenbund set this up to celebrate the event, the battle, and originally it was sort of what at the time was considered military type shooting, gefechtsmäßiges Schießen, combat type shooting, and it was in teams of 8, 20 rounds per person, fired at an unknown distance, that the team leader, who didn't shoot, had to guesstimate. Apparently during that period it was mostly done at about 520 metres, and it was shot at various locations around here. In more recent decades it's been shot from the bank of the river, from the levee on the bank of the river across to the hillside there at about 125, 130 metres, and it's 8 shots it's 18 members, but 12 shots in 4 minutes. It's that classic historic shoot, 12 shots in 4 minutes standard, which is
Leisurely.
It's leisurely. It is not rapid fire, shall we say. It is a precision series. Now, the target is a sort of funny stylised helmet. It is 28 centimetres high and 22 centimetres wide. There are no sighters, because sighters are practice, and practice is akin to cheating.
As opposed to finding you zero.
As opposed to finding you zero, which we did yesterday, which is probably going to be pointless because everybody ended up having to aim left, which was kind of annoying. And it's hits that the team makes to count. Apparently, if you cross shoot, as long as you're cross shooting within your team, it's cool.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
There are scoring zones on the target, but they are for tie break only. And a good section should, in principle, be making a full complement of hits on there. Now, because it's a historic event and it's the last one, and it's the last one because it's just running out of interest, running out of enough people to do it. It used to get 900 or so, and now we're down. Don't know what we are today, but they've publicised it. They said, okay, let's go out with a bang. It's not apparently to do with environmental regs. In fact, we're standing right next to an actual 300 metre range here, where they just dug out the old backstop and replaced it with metal bullet catchers for these.
Anticipating the
2020 environmental rules that come in on shooting ranges. At the moment, with the historic shoots, there's an exemption. You can still shoot bullets into the ground, but for the normal shooting ranges from 2020, that is going to be gone.
Let's just say we're sort of in the spring chicken age range at this event.
Oh, I'm the youngest in our section.
Looking at the average.
There are some kids, there are some teenagers.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of soldiers here shooting it. And we're actually not shooting it with the shooting club. We're shooting it with the Bernese section of our collectors club.
Hence.
And we decided we'd get up in Second World War era, or just after duds. But we are shooting 100-year-old rifles.
Both of us, yes.
Yeah,
Same
both
year.
1916 vintage. This is my G11, which cost me all of 60 francs.
And this is the Christmas K11, if you watch that vid, very generously given to me by Bloke.
Well, by patrons, in fact.
Well, yes.
And you've got it in the mud already.
Yeah.
Both of us, our sights are set for 300, so we've both got to aim down by differing amounts.
Mm-hmm.
We both ended up having to aim left yesterday, but I'm just wondering if I'm not going to split the difference, whether it was just the angle of the range. What's interesting is you'd be amazed at the difference just a slight amount of angle will make, particularly if you're shooting diopters with fine adjustment. You find that you often have to adjust a little way.
Yeah. And yesterday was diffuse light, and here we have
from the front quarter.
By the time we shoot, it's going to be even.
Yeah, it might be
more
enough faces.
Yeah.
We're shooting at 11:30.
Oh well.
We shall have to see how it goes, but certainly after my first shot, which was just off the figure yesterday, I kept them on. You had your bedding screws loose.
Yep.
I had to hand him a Swiss Army knife on the firing point. Did you check your bedding screws? No. Check. Wonk! Oh yes. And then his last
last
three
three
practice
were
shots
fine.
were fine. As a result, it's important. Check your bedding screws. So, otherwise, I mean, you might have spotted that this is the 100th, and the first one was in 1913. We're in 2019 now, so 106 years later. So there were missed years. But in 1941, General Guisan paid a visit here, and Bundesrat Minge, various other personalities in the high reaches of the government.
Yeah. He was a shrewd PR man. That's
Guisan was very much a shrewd PR man. They make a whole day out of it. So the first thing we did was we assembled on the Dorfplatz, on the town square, which is the sort of bit in front of the co-op these days. Was me
lost
thinking
a bit of its charm.
Yeah, thinking that it was going to be some cobbled medieval square. No, in front of the co-op, and we walked up to the into the memorial, and there were speechification, and there was a Feldpredigt, a field church service. There were 3 shots over the cold grave.
Bereit, anschlagen, Feuer! Bereit, anschlagen, Feuer! Bereit, anschlagen, Feuer!
As usual, the rules are Swiss ordnance rifles from the GP11 era forwards, as in the standard issue one. So it's there's actually a fair number of G11s and 9611s around. Yours probably got the only K11.
Probably the only one, yeah.
There's quite a few K31s and a surprising number of people shooting open sights. It's not just us idiots, for once. So I think that about covers the preliminaries.
Yep.
So let's see how we got on.
Schützen, ihr könnt ablegen und einrichten, ohne zu laden. Einrichten, ohne zu laden. Sind Gruppe bereit? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Schützen, laden! Zum Schuss fertig. Anschlagen. Feuer.
Instant reaction.
It's going to be
Couldn't see the sights.
distinctly mediocre at
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if there's any real effect on target there. Basically, light straight to the front, and both of us had a sort of mind-blowingly bright sparkle in the bottom of the U-notch, which meant we couldn't see the tip of the front sight either.
Yep. So I kept on having to poke my front sight up and say, oh, there it is.
There it is,
and
down it goes.
hopefully put it level with the middle, but
I just tried to ignore it as much as I could, but
Yeah.
geez. Oh well.
find out.
So we shot. You've had our Insta reactions. Any further thoughts?
Well, we were right. I think.
The light. Good Lord. I've never actually shot with the light coming straight at me like that before. I had no idea that at the bottom of the U-notch it would just be like a million blazing suns millimeters away from where the front sight is. I could hardly see my sights at all. And while I was on the firing point, I sort of panicked and thought, okay, I'll get my little lighter out and try and get some black on it, but there was too much wind, and then I ran out of time. I just thought, stuff it, I'm just going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Horrible.
Horrible. One of the other guys had a bit of glare off the top of his Stromgewehr 90 receiver that spoilt it for him a bit. He had a long hat and managed to minimise it. All I could do was turn this down. That worked for the light that was coming directly in my face.
Yeah.
But that raging nuclear inferno at the bottom of my my rear sight was a major issue, and that is why aperture rear sights are infinitely better in 90% of cases.
I had the peak of the Feldmutzer, helped a bit, but it kept on going too far.
Yeah.
And so I had to pull it backwards and do one shot, and it would slip forward again and work out where I was at, where my foresight was again.
Yeah. And the firing point is not very long. Your legs are hanging off the back of it, unusual. Excuses, we're as bad as fishermen. Yes, we know. Anyway, the rest of the day went really nicely because we went and had a nice big burner platter for lunch, which is basically meat and sauerkraut and potatoes and dried beans in a nice little guest hof over the back there. View over the Jura. Good company, good food. And then we went back down to the Dorfplatz where they did the prize giving, and after they did the prize giving, they gave us our targets. But before we get to our targets, the top team either got 95 or 96 hits out of a possible 96. I'll check the results online and post what it actually is. And the winning individual shooter had 34 points out of a possible 36, with a group size of 26 millimeters. So depending on whether they're counting that inside or outside or middle, I don't know, but that is basically 1 minute of angle, group size, on a target where you're aiming to hit the middle of the target, not shooting for group. That is seriously good shooting. We don't know what he was shooting it with, presumably a souped up Stromgewehr 57 with a free float.
That should probably be on the results list.
Possibly, yeah, we'll see. If there's information available later, we'll put it at the bottom. Now, on to our individual performances.
Right. I'll start as the worst. There you go. Mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm guessing the 12th is probably there somewhere.
Show that closer to the camera.
There you go. So I've no idea if I started here and then gradually rode up, or if I went down. I doubt it. I'm assuming I went up. Interestingly, both of us. Well, if you show yours first.
So mine, just a little bit left. I suspect in training yesterday I was having to aim there, and I decided that maybe that was actually just part of the angle of the range we were shooting on. So I sort of split the difference. I let off some shots about there and some shots about there, and I sort of to split it just to try and average it out and not end up with a smaller group off the target, because frankly a bigger group where some of the shots hit the target will do better than a tiny little bug hole group that doesn't score. And because I couldn't see the sights particularly because of raging nuclear inferno burning in my eyes, I'm actually quite amazed at how tight that group is. I thought they were going to be shotgunning all over it. So I have 12 hits on the paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Scoring 7 hits with 5 off and high.
I scored 6. Yeah. 1 less than you. Despite a terrible group.
Yeah.
But so conclusion was the practice we had yesterday was
limited use.
Limited use.
I suspect that had I not done the practice yesterday, I'd have aimed at the middle and about there, and probably would have maybe scored 1 or 2 more. I think I'd have still been high. The other thing is that yesterday we were shooting uphill, and today we were shooting slightly downhill, and it's not a question of the ballistics of horizontal distance versus distance on a slope. We're not talking anywhere near up enough or down enough for that. The issue is in your position, and you do your best with your natural alignment, but you often find, I think I said it earlier, with the diopters you can be a fair amount off. I mean, shooting on my normal range, going down to the range over the road by Latterbach, I can be that much off at 300.
Yeah, I remember
cranking it down quite a lot.
When I went to the range over the road for the Feldschießen with my Sturmgewehr, after shooting at my range, I went there, first shot, missed.
Totally.
Dial it down.
Yeah, that range we tend to shoot high compared to other ranges.
Yeah.
I think you're shooting slightly uphill there, and my range shoots downhill. Anyway, you see a similar phenomenon here of the angle you're shooting up and down affecting your position, and putting the point of impact higher or lower on the target as a result. But these are evilly tiny targets.
They are. Yeah.
They're like half-scale head and shoulders targets at 125 metres on a place where you've not shot them before. But given the circumstances, I'm actually fairly pleased with that. So there we go. Unfortunately, that is the last time that one comes. So going to try and get a section together to do the Neueneggschiessen again. There's also the Grauholzschießen to celebrate the defeat up to the north. See if we can shoot that. Don't know if we've missed it for this year.
I don't know. At least it's still going. That's good.
Yeah. So there you go. If you survived this far, I hope that was at least vaguely interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all our patrons for continuing to support the channel. If you haven't become a patron already, please consider doing so. It really helps us to produce content like this and other things. So thank you very much. See you again.
Thanks.
Bye.